Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ganyan, thank you for stopping by. Today's video is gonna be about the top 5 things that Borderlands 2 did better than Borderlands 3, which is the exact opposite of what I did last week. In case you're interested in that, I'm gonna link it in the top right now. But before we start, consider liking and sharing the video if you enjoy it, and let's get into it.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different, man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow.
DLC 4 for Borderlands 3 is just 4 days away at the time of me recording this video, which is crazy to think about that we had this game for a year now. It changed so much and I'm so happy that we finally have it. But many people held off on getting it when it first came out, because they wanted to wait until all the DLCs are out and all the updates are done. And this time is, I think, a great time to let these people know what the game has become and if it's worth it to get it. Last week I made a video about the 5 things that Borderlands 3 did better than 2. This week I'm talking about the 5 things that 2 did better than 3. Before we start, I wanna lay down some ground rules for this top 5. First of all, I want to be talking about stuff that could still come to Borderlands 3 when it comes to content. For example, more DLCs, raid bosses, more Circles of Slaughter, stuff like that, because that can still change in the coming months or year even. And I also want to be talking about stuff that can improve from optimization or graphics or that kind of stuff. And of course, everything I say, just like in any other top 5, is just my personal opinion. So you can agree, you can disagree, you can let me know what you think down in the comments. But with all that being said, we can move on to the number 5, which is the loot. More specifically, the legendaries in the game. They just don't feel legendary in Borderlands 3. In Borderlands 2, I didn't even get my first legendary after I finished my first playthrough for the game. I had to go into True Vault Hunter mode to get my first legendary, which might sound too much, but it's much better for the longevity of the game and for the feeling when you get a legendary. It's in the name, it's a legendary, so you have to work for it, you should work for it. In Borderlands 3 you can just get legendaries from killing random bandits. Not on the first playthrough, but on the later games you can get stuff like that from random enemies, which makes them less useful, less unique, less desirable. And it's all connected to the anointment system, which I talked about before. I think it's a great system, but it emphasizes that you have to farm for the specific anointment that you want. So getting a legendary gun is not enough anymore. You have to get a legendary gun with a specific anointment that you want. In Borderlands 2, this wasn't a problem. You got a legendary, it was a legendary. And all these problems in Borderlands 3 completely ruined the progression of the guns in the game. There's no use for white or green or blue rarity guns in the game. In Borderlands 2, each one of them had a use. You built up your character from white to them green to them blue and purple and maybe a legendary. In Borderlands 3 you can just get your legendary in the first hour of playing and move on from there until you get the next legendary. So basically you just skipped all the rarities in the game and moved on to the best one. In Borderlands 2 you have to build yourself up. Start with the bad stuff, get a little better, and that adds to the progression and the replayability of the game, because it doesn't break it. But with that being said, let's move on to the number 4, where I have put the DLCs. Just like I've said, Borderlands 3 has the last DLC coming out this week, but I'm gonna compare the DLCs not from a story perspective, because that's opinionated, everyone just likes a different story. I'm gonna compare them from the perspective of what comes with them. In Borderlands 3, we already know about the last DLC that it's not gonna come with a new vehicle, most likely. And same thing with the first and the second DLC, we had no new vehicles. In the first DLC you couldn't even drive a vehicle. In Borderlands 2, the only one that didn't come with the new kind of vehicle was the Tiny Tina DLC, but that made up for it by making a lot more stuff come with that. But in the other DLCs we had the sand cars, the swamp cars, we had more vehicles coming in with each one of the DLCs, and it connects to my other point that the areas were more open. You had more to do, more side missions, more stuff to see. In Borderlands 3 most of the DLCs are more linear. In the first DLC, for example, there isn't even an open area. The only kinda open area is the main casino floor, but even that's kinda linear. In Borderlands 2, each one of the DLCs has at least one open world kinda area well, not exactly open world, but it's less linear than the other areas. And all of that just adds to the personality of the DLC. It's more unique, different than the main game itself when you have more vehicles, different enemies, different areas. It just makes the DLC stand out compared to the rest of the game. That's why, for example, my favorite DLC in Borderlands 3 is the Hammerlock DLC, because it had an open area at the beginning with many new enemies. The only thing that's missing is that we didn't have a new vehicle. It's not a big thing, it's a small thing, but the little things matter in games like these because you replay them a ton of times and you start noticing these kind of little additions that they didn't do this time. Moving on from the DLCs, we can move on to the number 3, where I have put the story of the game. I don't think that I need to say anything about the story of Borderlands 3. We all know what it is, what it's like. The DLCs got better, but the main story is kinda bad. But I'm gonna talk about Borderlands 2 and what we all love about it, other than the obvious handsome Jack. So, in Borderlands 2, many of the characters from Borderlands 1 returned or were referenced. Most of them play major roles in the story of Borderlands 2. They all have their own interconnected stories and feelings about each other and stuff that they want to do. And most importantly, your own character played a huge part in the story of the game. In Borderlands 3, no matter what you do, the credit is always taken by characters like Lilith or Tannis or whoever it is. It just doesn't matter what you do, and most of the characters just ignore that you exist. But in Borderlands 2, everyone depends on you. You do stuff that actually matter, you save characters, you kill other characters, you move the story forward, and you get the credit for it. My main issue with the story of Borderlands 3 is that it's too spread out. There isn't one single villain except the Children of the Vault, and let's be honest, the bandits are the most boring part of Borderlands, at least for myself. In Borderlands 2, you had the main villain as Hyperion. You had to fight the loader bots, see all the variants of the loader bots. In Borderlands 3, the main villains are the Children of the Vault, like I've said, and Maliwan. But Maliwan are only the villains in Promethea, and by the end of the game in Record to Fail. But that's not the whole game. In places like Eden 6, for example, you don't even see anyone from Maliwan. And Pandora, for example, you don't see anyone from Maliwan. And that really takes away from the importance of the corporations in the story of Borderlands. And also, as a side note, they changed Atlas and Jacobs from being evil corporations to the good guys, which is kinda weird since the corporations were always the bad guys in the Borderlands games. But that doesn't matter. My main point is that because Maliwan, we don't see them a lot in Borderlands 3, except on those 2 planets. They are less of a threat, and it's less interesting because we don't get to see many variants of them, of the troops of the corporation, I mean.
I'm gonna kill you. You wanna prove me wrong? You wanna stop the greatness that is Handsome Jack? Well, come and get me.
Moving on to the number 2, I have put the side missions. My problem with them is not the quality of the side missions or the story of the side missions, because that's good. My problem is the amount of side missions. For example, on Sanctuary, back in Borderlands 2, you had just a crap load of side missions, you couldn't even count them. On Borderlands 3, you have a grand total of something like 5 side missions, and they're all kinda fast and kinda boring. In Borderlands 2, all the side missions send you to different locations. Most of them have their own stories and their own characters and their own conclusions and all that. Problem in Borderlands 3 also moves on to the DLCs of the game. We have less side missions than we had in 2. Just like I've said, the DLCs feel a lot smaller and more contained. In Borderlands 2, each one of the DLCs has new side missions and new mission givers. Also, they have a bounty board in the DLC and in the main game, which is a good place to pick up your side missions and check what you can do. In Borderlands 3 there is a bounty board, but it's kind of a bounty board, you just see bounties on the wall hanging, and there isn't many of them. Mostly there are just like 3 missions. In Borderlands 2, some bounty boards have up to 4, 5, 6 missions. And you might be thinking that side missions don't really matter in the game. Since they're a one and done thing, you don't have to care about them, they're not the main story, so why should I care? But, hear me out, in the replayability of the game, side missions really do help. Maybe I play as Krieg and I play side mission number 1 and then move on to the main story, then I play as Maya and play side mission number 4. and then move on with the story. And that helps me get a different experience with each one of my characters, see the world differently, shape the world in my way, and check out what the world has to offer. And the lack of these side missions just limits the replayability of Borderlands 3, while giving Borderlands 2 a lot more replayability. Moving on to the number one thing I love more about Borderlands 2 than Borderlands 3, it is the replayability. In Borderlands 3 we have 4 Vault Hunters. Gearbox said that they will add more skill trees to each one of them. In Borderlands 2 we have 6 Vault Hunters, each one with 3 skill trees. Now, I think that's the wrong decision when it comes to Borderlands 3. Borderlands 2 did it better, but I guess we'll have to see. And now to the fun part of the video, let's do some math. In Borderlands 3 we have 4 new Vault Hunters, each one with 4 skill trees if the new skill trees are released. That gives us 16 new skill trees to play with, right? In Borderlands 2 we have 6 Vault Hunters, each one with 3 skill trees. That's 18 skill trees to play with. That's the difference of 2 skill trees, which is almost a new Vault Hunter. And the fact that we have 6 Vault Hunters in Borderlands 2 and 4 in 3 also moves on to the customization part of things. For example, in Borderlands 2 you can customize 6 Vault Hunters, which means more heads, more skins to collect. In Borderlands 3 you have 4 Vault Hunters, which means less stuff to collect. But in the end it all depends on personal opinion. You might just like one Borderlands Vault Hunter in 3 and stick with him till the end. That was my point in my previous video on why Borderlands 3 was better. Because if you like one Vault Hunter, you can stick with him for a longer time than in Borderlands 2. But when it comes to replayability, Borderlands 2 is just way ahead of Borderlands 3. And with that, I can end the top 5 video. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out stuff that Borderlands 2 did better than Borderlands 3 in the main game, because in Borderlands 3, many of the stuff that it's missing can be added. That's why I like it more than 2. A little more, I still love 2. But my main point being that Borderlands 3 can be a game that we all learn to love and enjoy and have fun in. They just need to add some small things. And hopefully all of these things that I've mentioned can be added somehow into Borderlands 3 to make it a better game. But for now they are only in Borderlands 2. So, that's everything for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and I earned your like on it. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything Borderlands, from news to updates to builds to top 5s. And with that being said, I hope to see you in the next Borderlands video. Have a nice day.